So if I was on Highway 61 or you know anybody that's traveling north or south on there, call them immediately and tell them you're going to want to take cover, because that's a line of storms also capable of producing, that tornado is also producing winds of 65 miles per hour. And that's enough to tip over any sort of semi that's driving north or south on US 61, and really it can blow your car around as well. So you want to make sure you get undercover here pretty quickly. Now we just got a new tornado warning in, Eric, as I'm trying to talk to the National Weather Service here on my phone, as well as take a look at what we have going on our radar. But we do have a tornado warning now for Muscatine and Scott County until 3:45.
And this, folks, is what we call a shelf cloud, and this is where you have a rush of air coming out right where that cloud base ends between there and the ground, and the whole storm itself pushing ahead. And this is going to be your first indication that the air is going to become much more volatile as the winds really start to pick up under this. And we can even see it moving definitely on our sky cam right now. Yeah, what I want to show you, there's how we tell you that the rain goes from nothing to something that you won't believe in just a matter of minutes. You see that piece of sky that we're just about to lose on the right, and then in the foreground you see the sheets of rain, and then look at how quickly the visibility goes to almost nothing as we are just splicing this line of rain in half with our sky cam as it's coming through right now. And I'm sure that we're going to start to hear it right on the roof of the studio.
And they just issued a new thunderstorm warning for the whole Quad Cities metro now, Eric. That goes until, let's see, pulls up until 4:15 p.m. The one thing they did attach to this, a possible tornado, as they're continuing to see signs of rotation. And you know what, this is getting pretty serious for areas on the northwest side of the QC metro.
Areas that we are hearing about a lot of damage in at this hour is Muscatine. Danielle McCarthy is live in that area right now, where we have reports of roads being closed. We know Highway 61 is a mess right there. A funnel cloud was reported from several viewers there. Danielle, you are on the line with us. What can you tell us?
Well, Gary, we just got into Muscatine actually a few minutes ago. Sheriff's deputy we talked to described the area as a total disaster. Looking at it right now, traffic was diverted off 61 as we were trying to get into the city. We finally got in after we were stuck in traffic for a while. Right now, I'm standing outside the Krieger Collision Center. There's debris all over the place. The collision center itself, there's a wall caved in, the roof is blown off, there's pieces of insulation everywhere.
As this system was coming up to the metro, we had a crew on the other side of it waiting it out in Eldridge. And this is what Mike Ortiz, our chief photographer, saw as it came in and came overhead. Of course, this again after he was safe in a safe place, came out, and this is what he saw, not heading towards him but going away from him. I believe we have, and there, wow, look at that shot right there. We have Mike Ortiz, I believe, on the phone. And Mo, can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at? It appears to be, and I know you're an expert in terms of, you've been shooting here for us for decades. What did you see today?
Well, you and I had talked like 5 minutes before, and I knew I had to get off the road. The clouds that I was looking at looked pretty ominous, and by the time I parked, that sort of cloud was moving in, and it was moving in quick. The temperature changed quickly, and I knew at that time that I probably needed to take shelter right away.
The National Weather Service is confirming that there was a tornado in Muscatine on Monday. We've got video of it. This is from a Muscatine car wash surveillance camera. It's posted now on our Facebook fan page. Watch the upper left-hand corner of the screen. This was when an EF1 tornado with 110 miles an hour wind speeds. It traveled 6.5 miles. One person was killed by this tornado. There was also a second tornado in Atkinson, Illinois. This was also an EF1, which traveled 4 miles with wind speeds of more than 90 miles an hour.
Everything was blowing across. There was sheet metal from down there blowing across.
Doug Krieger tells us all of this happened in 20 seconds.
I have no idea. Best I can say was like being in a war zone. I mean, 20 seconds and the building was destroyed.
The storm rolled into Muscatine around 3:30 p.m. yesterday, and before employees could even hear sirens, the damage was done.
No sirens. It just happened too fast. It was 20 seconds from the time it hit the church to the time it was across the highway.
It hit Calvary Church first, tearing into the building before moving toward the Krieger Collision Center and dealership. The storm blew through the roof and siding, tore metal and insulation from the walls, and ripped through trees, spitting debris across the parking lot. But the biggest tragedy is the employee that got stuck in the storm's wake. The owner tells us everything inside this collision center can be replaced. The one thing he's most devastated about is the employee he lost.
We can replace all the cars that are damaged. I can replace the buildings, but I can't replace the life I lost. There's a gentleman that's been with me for a long, long time, and he's going to retire in December.
The employee was a body technician. He'd been a Krieger employee for about 30 years.
That's the worst part of it, by far.
20 other employees were in the collision center at the time, all of them making it to safety. In a split second, employees saw the storm, ran and dove into a cement room, and shut the door. The owner tells us that sequence of events saved their lives.
What really saved all the employees in that body shop is they got inside a cement brick explosion-proof room. And they all got in there except for the one gentleman. And if they hadn't got in there, I probably would have lost every employee.
In Muscatine, Amber O'Brien, KWQC, TV6 News.
We begin with breaking news tonight at 5 with an officer-involved shooting along an Illinois interstate. A state trooper is injured. Another person has been shot. The incident has stopped and rerouted traffic along I-88 for hours this afternoon and into this evening.
Yeah, it happened along I-88 near Sterling in Whiteside County. KWQC's Elizabeth Goodsit joins us live tonight where a news conference wrapped up not long ago. Elizabeth?
Well, Sharon and Gary, that news conference just wrapped up, and it was just about 5 minutes long. Not a lot of information coming out of it. State police coming out, reading a statement, taking a few questions, but we are still waiting for more details as they investigate. Here's what we can tell you. You know, we've been reporting for much of the day that this started at about 11:30 in Whiteside County, but what we've been told now, it started about 45 minutes earlier at about 10:45. A conservation officer was called out to a motorist assist. A man from Ohio needed help. Police not telling us what kind at this point, but we do know the officer responded to Burns and Albany Road in Whiteside County to help the driver somehow. But right after that, the driver called 911 and made statements that prompted a second welfare check. So the conservation officers, state police went back out to look for that driver, finding him on Interstate 88 at mile marker 35. That's just west of Sterling. At that point, the state trooper, the conservation officer, tried to initiate a stop, but the driver made an abrupt U-turn, pinning the trooper against his squad car, and then continued to accelerate. At that point, we're told the conservation officer told supervisors he feared for that trooper's life, feared for his own life. He shot the driver. The driver was pronounced dead at the scene.
Good morning, I'm David Nelson. We are following breaking news right now. A fire has broken out at the Credit Island Clubhouse in Davenport. Amber O'Brien is there live right now. Amber, what can you tell us?
David, we just arrived on scene, and you can actually see the flames still billowing out of the top of the clubhouse. And as we zoom in closer, just take a look at that roof. Clearly, it's collapsing. And you can also notice that the flood walls there, that was from just 2 weeks ago. One of the main issues for firefighters arriving on scene was driving down Credit Island Lane. I'm told that it's difficult to get these big trucks and vehicles down here with water supplies and firefighters.
This is TV6 News at 6.
Water gushing like a fountain from manhole covers on River Drive, making a big splash as the vehicles drive through, closing roads here and all over the Quad City area. And flooding inside homes, too. Many homeowners facing wet basements and worse tonight. That tops your news at 6 tonight. Team coverage of the flooding. I'm Paula Sands. Gary Mativier is in Kelowna, where many homeowners are having a rough time tonight, Gary.
They certainly are, Paula. You can see it right behind me here all along this road, these houses. The water is starting to pull back tonight, but this is flash flooding. You know, the Rock River is not very far from these homes, but that is not where this water came from. All this water came from the sky, and it came down in a hurry. We want to also point out that we talk about safety a lot when it comes to floodwaters. We were in this water checking it out a little bit earlier. Again, this is just puddles behind homes. It was close to knee level. it was safe and secure. We made sure to check that out, but make sure to stay away from streams or rivers because we know they are riding very high, and some, in fact, may be coming close to record high. For the latest on what's happening in Moline, let's continue our team coverage now with KWQC Mark Stevens, who has the latest on preparations there. Mark?
Gary, Rock Island County is watching these river levels throughout the county as they continue to rise slowly here. Here in Moline, you can see the Mississippi River gushing up through a storm drain and starting to turn River Drive back into River Canal.
Getting in, getting the job done, and getting out safely.
We're serious about what we do.
20 of the best training to deal with the worst you'll see in the Rock Island community. This day, practicing breaching doors.
Going in and I'm clearing the room.
Extracting injured officers, throwing flashbangs. And doing it with solid doors in apartments with unfamiliar layouts in the real-life setting of Rock Island's manor homes. Sitting empty and slated for demolition, this complex providing a rare opportunity to practice for situations that are becoming all too common.
Knock on wood, there hasn't been anything significant like, a Sandy Hook or something like that, but you never know, and they never knew. That's not something a department plans for. It just, unfortunately, it's happened.
And how crews respond is changing. In the decade since this emergency response team was formed, gear has gotten better.
Your body armor, the equipment that they carry.
And so has education, with now once-a-month training in Rock Island and information coming in from around the world.
Every time there's an incident of significance, Columbine, 9/11, no matter what the nature or how serious it is, we learn from that.
Hoping to never have to use it, but ready for virtually any emergency because of training like this.
You go into the unknown and you come out successful. That's the part that's important to me, the coming out successful.
In Rock Island.
Police search warrant!
Elizabeth Goodsit, Fox 18 News.
Minutes tonight, the meeting was meant to be an informal discussion about how a casino purchase could affect Davenport taxpayers. Good evening, I'm Gary Mativier.
And I'm Sharon DeReek. Instead, it turned into a shouting match between Davenport Mayor Bill Gluba and members of the public.
KWQC's Mark Stevens explains members of the business community appear to be very frustrated with Davenport's changing answers to some very big questions here, Mark.
The questions are huge. How will the casino purchase be afford to take on so much debt? What happens if the casino doesn't bring in as much as expected? These are the questions the City, Riverboat Development Authority, and Davenport Community Improvement Corporation have to decide on to meet the city's goal of submitting a casino purchase application in a few weeks. Questions that draw very strong opinions.
Your money now, don't use mine. I pay taxes too, my friend. I didn't say you didn't. I said use yours, not mine.
Mayor Bill Gluba became frustrated after listening to members of the business community question the city's attempt to buy the Rhythm City Casino setting.
If you want to learn, come down to City Hall. We don't need bars where you can't put things up properly.
It's very hard to analyze this project because there's nothing certain yet. You don't know what the costs are. You don't know what the revenue estimates are. You don't know what how financing is going to be arranged, and all are critical, obviously.
Former co-chair of the Riverboat Development Authority, John Gardner, says too many questions remain unanswered, even as the city presses to have a casino application into the state of Iowa by its April gaming meeting.
You can't vote on something you don't know what it is. How do you vote on it?
Here's the view. Okay, but 1985 to today, 2010, $621 million.
Dubuque was bought for $12 million. In 1985, when there weren't casinos all around and there wasn't all this competition.
Davenport attorney Kathy Carty questions the idea of spending $150 million to buy and build a new casino, saying Davenport doesn't have the needed experience.
I think the city needs to look at private investors and let them come and run a casino because we have no experience of running a casino.
The responses from the city at this point are we're not sure. We haven't thought that through.
CPA Steve Spring is organizing a group of business leaders to meet with the city in a calmer setting to answer these questions and offer local expertise.
We are very concerned that things are being rushed here. We would like for the city and the RDA to stand back a little bit, involve more business individuals with experience in the discussions, and then move forward a little more cautiously and more slowly.
In Davenport, Mark Stevens, KWQC, TV6 News.
The 1,400-foot deep well where this happened supplies water to ADM's boiler. As they were pulling the pump out of it, the motor became separated and started leaking the mercury. This type of motor contains about 17 pounds of the toxic element, and about 1 pound has been removed from the soil. As for the amount that leaked into the well, DNR officials don't have that answer. They're also not sure at this point if other wells are in danger of contamination.
Any mercury would be considered, concerning.
It's a very hazardous material that can cause severe kidney and neurological health problems if consumed or inhaled. Environmental officials take even the smallest amount serious and say what was recovered from the soil at ADM is significant. Then there's the unknown amount that could be beneath the surface.
It's a concern, and we're diligently trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
The well where the leak happened at ADM is non-public. But the DNR is worried about the deep aquifer that well pulls water from and anyone else that could be using it.
We're not sure how much of the interaction, can it contaminate other wells? We don't know it at this point.
We're told Iowa American Water was contacted and has increased monitoring of its wells. ADM will work to recover as much of the mercury as possible.
Right now, with no pump, it's going to be difficult to get samples. So we're hoping that they can get something in place so we can at least get an idea of what is the level of mercury in the water.
The motor that was the source of all of this is being shipped off to fix and verify the amount of mercury it still contains. Soil testing is planned too. At this point, the DNR considers what leaked localized to that area, but can't say for sure.
Hopefully it doesn't migrate. At this point, we don't know all of that information as of yet.
In Clinton, Bailey Dietz, KWQC TV6 News.
The group Prophetstown Main Street says as of right now, the town is looking at a loss of about $1 million. That'll come from a loss in sales tax, traffic in the area, and the buildings themselves. And despite all the loss, the group says Prophetstown is going to be okay. As the walls come crashing down, Eileen Detra's hopes are higher than ever.
I just had a knot all morning, but like I said, I'm positive. I think good things can come out of bad things.
Prophetstown became one of the first official Illinois Main Street communities 20 years ago. And as executive director of Prophetstown Main Street, Detra says there's a hole now in the downtown the group has worked so hard to revitalize.
That's very scary. And that's why, I'm not going to say I'm not scared, but I'm optimistic that maybe something, I don't know what good could come out of it, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Prophetstown Main Street Economic Development Chair Larry Deneve says he already has an idea of what that good might be.
We do have a plan, and the plan that we've been talking about this afternoon, I've met with some of our committee members, is the first thing we want to do is we want to connect with a couple of the towns that have already went through this.
Towns that have been through fires like this and made a comeback. And if they can do it, why can't Prophetstown?
We took a hit today, but you know what? We'll come back. We'll come back. I know we will.
Detra couldn't agree more.
We're gonna come back. We are. I do believe that. I do. I really do.
To do that, they're hoping to get grant money to rebuild and add new businesses. They say doing that will be a challenge, but for these lifelong residents, it's worth it. In Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC TV6 News.
Crews are set to start clearing debris tomorrow in downtown Prophetstown, Illinois. A massive fire damaged or destroyed 8 buildings there. KWQC's Danielle McCarthy joins us now. And Danielle, the community is really working together to make this cleanup possible.
Yeah, the fire was a month and a half ago, and take a look here. This is how the town still looks today. The cleanup is expected to cost the city about $160,000, and the cost of the rebuild is still unknown. Donations have been rolling in, though, from the community to make it all a reality, and one of the biggest donations is coming from a group of people the city might never know. It's a town where people say everybody knows everybody. So we asked just about everybody if they knew a particular group of farmers. Have you heard of this group of farmers that is donating corn to raise money for the rebuilding fund?
No.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
I actually have not.
You don't know who they are?
I don't.
It's unbelievable.
It seems the mayor may be the only one in town who does know about this group.
The farmers in this area, a lot of them have come together and offered to donate sizable amounts for the cleanup and the rebuilding. And I guess the part that gets me the most is they want to remain anonymous.
That's right. Somewhere behind this field of corn is one of about a dozen farmers who want no recognition for what they're doing, selling about $50,000 worth of corn at this grain facility and giving all the money to the city's rebuilding fund.
A $50,000 donation to the city could be like night and day. That could get us out of the red for any cleanup expense.
So why make such a big donation? We were lucky enough to track down one of those anonymous farmers to explain.
I talked to the mayor. I says, what happens if the people don't have enough insurance and the city takes it over, and who's got to pay the difference? He said, well, the city will have to borrow the money and do it, you know. So I said, well, let me see what we can do. So that's what got it started.
And while they may never know who these farmers are, the community has a few things they'd like to tell them.
Well, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Whoever is doing it is amazing.
But, you know, I kind of wish they'd let us know who they are so we could thank them.
In Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, Kwqc TV6 News.
I can't believe that something like this would happen.
People who typically come to downtown LeClaire for shopping and small town attractions are getting a glimpse of a large-scale emergency response.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, not at all, actually. No, I've seen a boat sink, a little boat, but never a big one like that. That's pretty intense.
A sunken towboat with 16 feet of river water inside of it. It's certainly something to see, but it's also an accident with the potential for a serious environmental impact.
There is over 100,000 gallons of petroleum products on board this ship, and it is our major concern that we limit the impact to the environment.
Cleanup crews like EnviroMark are working to contain and recover much of the oil that has been leaking over the past 24 hours. These yellow barricades you see in the water are containment booms. Thousands of feet have been deployed to stop the spread of oil. Wrapped in clear plastic, you can see some of the containment booms that have been pulled from the river. This red liquid you see here is oil that was leaking from the towboat. Professional divers have also been hired to survey the ship and plug up any holes that could be leaking unsafe chemicals into the river.
Despite these actions, oil still is leaking out. That oil has reached down to Lock and Dam 14, and that is approximately 5 river miles down the way.
Still, they say it's roughly 500 gallons of oil that spilled from the sunken towboat.
That is actually a small fraction.
The situation could have been 200 times worse.
It is a required piece of warning equipment in front of both the Steele and Sears dams on the Rock River in Milan. The safety measure was not in place during this weekend's fatal jet ski accident after floods washed it away. 2 men from Cambridge were jet skiing in a marked no boating area near the dam. They both got trapped. The one you see here in the water was rescued and is recovering tonight, but the other drowned. KWQC's Mark Stevens has been investigating the boat barrier. And Mark, it's actually the very last warning system in the water marking the dam.
The Steele Dam and the Sears Dam further downstream are both required to have boat barriers in place, essentially cables strung across the river with orange buoys on them in front of those dams. It's Rock Island's responsibility to put them in place and maintain them because the dams store water for the city's hydroelectric power plant. However, both barriers are currently washed up on shore.
We're required to put that up by May 15th every year, May through October 15th.
Okay.
And if for some reason we can't have it up, then we notify the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that we don't have it up.
Rock Island Public Works Director Randy Tweet says his crews couldn't get the barriers in place by May 15th. Too much water flowing down the Rock River. They had to wait till mid-June, and both barriers broke about a week after being installed.
Once you get high water, the current, for one thing, and then you get debris that sweeps down, and once you get a tree in that current that hits it, it just is going to snap the line.
Video from this weekend's rescue show the barrier where it rests now, sitting along the shore instead of standing guard against the dam. It's still there because Tweet says there's too much water to make any repairs.
We can't work on it until the river falls below 9.8 feet, and the current projections only go out a week, and it's scheduled to level off just above that, so I really don't have a time frame.
Even if it had been in place, it's not clear if it could have prevented the accident from occurring. Federal rules require the barriers, but those rules don't say the barrier has to act as a safety line.
It's like the buoys you see in a pool between the deep end and the shallow end. It's meant to be a warning.
Tweet sent letters to the federal government letting it know the barriers were late getting up, and he sent more letters when they broke. The other warning signs are still in place.
There's a number of warning signs upriver from that, and then some buoys also that say no boating zone. And then this is basically, the third warning.
A warning that will not be in place until the water goes down. In Milan, Mark Stevens, Kwqc, TV6 News.
There's blood everywhere, please hurry. Brookside Drive, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. There's blood everywhere.
This Bettendorf family spends more time together these days, holding hands and appreciating life after an unbelievable accident with an even more amazing outcome. It was Saturday before Easter when David Russo was making a repair to the tie rod on the family van. He jacked it up just enough to get the tire off, when without thinking, he checked underneath.
It was a quick procedure, was almost done with it when it dropped.
I need help, of course, I want my husband.
Somehow the jack slipped, and like a vice, the frame of the van came down, trapping David.
Instant pressure, a lot of pressure to my head.
He tried to relieve that pressure by pushing up on the vehicle using his arms and even his legs, but he was no match for the 3,500 pounds of steel, so he started yelling for help. David's weak voice went unnoticed by everyone inside except for the family dog, Diego.
But Diego kind of barked, but then I told him to stop, but he wouldn't, so I looked, and then I said, Mom, come here.
I lost it, and I panicked, and all I knew what to do was just scream.
That's when Natalia, a first grader, made a life-saving decision. She grabbed her mom's phone, dialed 911, and then handed the phone back to her mother.
Another one. I need an ambulance now. David, talk to me.
My 7-year-old is a lot better than me. She just took control for me and gave me that 1 second to just calm down.
He was working on my car and the jack went and the car fell on him. I need help really bad.
Help arrived, including a neighbor who jacked the van back up. But the amazing story doesn't end there. David's injuries were serious. His skull was fractured in multiple places. The emergency room doctors told Allison Russo that the injuries could be fatal.
I desperately tried to search for my reflection in anything as they wheeled me to the hospital to see what my face looked like, whether my eye was there, and I could see the looks on everyone's faces.
Days later, David woke up in the hospital. Unable to talk because of a breathing tube, he scribbled these words to his family.
Wasn't even concerned with himself. He wrote, I love you. How are the kids?
David was back home with his wife and kids after just 5 days in the hospital. Allison calls David her superhero. She even bought him a Superman t-shirt after the accident. But don't expect this man of steel to be crawling under a van of steel anytime soon.
He can pump gas and change windshield wiper blades, but that's about it. He can wash it a whole bunch.
In Bettendorf, Marcia Lenz, KWQC TV6 News.
Dear Grandpa Clyde, I know you have never met me because you were already in heaven when I was born. My name is Aiden Jarrett Ristaw and I'm your grandson. You are one of my biggest heroes. I have always wanted to learn more about World War II. My mom told me that you were in the Navy and served in the Pacific Ocean during the war. Since I was very little, I have always wanted to join the military myself and sure wish I could talk to you about it. I do know that our family has had a lot of people serve our country, and I want to be able to do the same thing when I turn 18. My mom is on the fire department just like you were, and when she had a friend on the fire department come home from Afghanistan, the whole fire department took trucks out to the interstate to salute the soldiers as they drove by on the bus. I stood out there with a flag and waved at them. I asked my mom if they did that when you came home too, but she said she doubted it because a lot of the soldiers were not welcomed home by our country during different wars like they are nowadays. I think that is sad. There is a flight called the Honor Flight, and it honors veterans. They started it a while ago. They get to go to Washington, D.C. for the day and visit war memorials. I have seen a lot about it on the news because my mom and I watch the news during dinner, and it makes my mom cry when she sees the veterans because she thinks of you. I think it would be really a great experience to go with them and spend the day with the veterans. There are sponsors that go with the vets and push them around in wheelchairs if they need one, and talk and visit with them all day long. It would be like I was with you for the day. I think it would be neat because even though I never met you, it would still be like getting to hear from your experiences and stories from the war. My mom says I am a lot like you because I will talk to anyone and I am not shy at all. She said you were the same way, that you loved meeting new people. What kind of questions do you think I should ask them if I get to go? I found your Navy hat in a box downstairs last weekend. It fit my head. I also found your American flag from your funeral. Mom said you didn't die in the war, but you had military burial when you passed away. Can I keep your flag? Someday I'm going to be in the military and I'm thinking about joining the Marines, so don't be too upset if I don't join the Navy, okay? I hope someday, a long, long time from now, I can meet you and me and you can sit on a cloud in heaven and I can hear about your war stories. You are my hero, Grandpa. I salute you. Love, Aiden.
And with help from all of you, thousands of toys and thousands of dollars in donations for Toys for Tots today.
It's impressive out there. KWQC's Morgan Otier has been out braving the cold along with the Marine Corps reservists, and she joins us now from out there. People really came out in full force for the kids, Morgan.
Yeah, they really did. We've been out here all day, the Marines more so even than I, and we've really seen the community come together today and donate tons and tons of toys for kids in the Quad Cities who really need them. And I'm here with Gunnery Sergeant Jason Fox, and you have seen that firsthand today. Lines of cars, people coming by to drop off toys for kids.
Yes, of course. I've been here since 8:30. True Quad City fashion all day. It's been constant lines, you know, here and there slow, but for the most part, we've had a constant line of cars coming in, dropping off toys, money, things of that nature. So it's been a great day.
And we're gauging it by how much we can fill a truck. So talk about, at this point, have we filled a truck?
We have filled one full 7-ton. We're probably looking at what we have right here, hopefully getting about 2 full trucks before we leave this place today.
Wow, fantastic. So 2 full trucks today, and we have to give you an update too on monetary donations. We have neared the $19,000 mark, which is fantastic, and we've still got about 25 minutes left, so we hope to see everybody here before our drive ends today.
You just can't comprehend it.
4 days ago, a tornado swept through Moore, Oklahoma, taking 24 lives, wiping out neighborhoods and injuring hundreds. People are now slowly getting back on their feet, and a $2 billion cleanup is underway. The Red Cross is already working hard in Oklahoma, and you can help those efforts by making a donation till 6:30 tonight. We've been outside all day collecting cash and checks, and Gary's out there now with an update on how it's going. Gary?
Yeah, we are just getting an update as you speak, Paula, and this is an amazing amount. This is just from this one location alone today, more than $31,000. People drive up and drop off these donations. That money will do so much to help so many people that are dealing with so much tonight. You can only imagine looking around and seeing your entire home gone and wondering now, how do I feed my family? Where do I stay for the night? Well, the Red Cross is there for every disaster in our country to take care of that on the spot. This kind of money helps refurbish that, so the next disaster, they are ready.
Live from the KWQC Broadcast Center, this is TV6 News at 6.
Downtown on fire, flames glowing through the night, shooting into the sky in Prophetstown, Illinois. Some can be seen from 10 miles away. Crews work for hours putting water on the flames from the ground and from the air, eventually draining the town's water system.
All I know is I called for more help, more help, more help.
And this is how it looks now, a shell of its former glory. 8 buildings burned, 6 a total loss.
I just ran out the front door, down my front steps.
But everyone is okay, left now to pick up the pieces of businesses lost, jobs lost, and a town center lost in Prophetstown.
Hurts all the people involved, the community, but we'll pull through. Somehow we'll pull through.
We have team coverage tonight of this devastating fire. It is the word we've been hearing all day concerning this ordeal. Devastating. And that's why we are dedicating resources to this story tonight. It's tough to see, tough to deal with, and our crews are hoping to provide some answers for you tonight. KWQC's Lynn Nguyen will be asking those questions in Prophetstown. Shireen Mohammed will talk about the Red Cross angle. And Amber O'Brien, who was first on the scene this morning, will show us how the community is already helping right now some of the business owners. Now, this is the area we're talking about in Prophetstown, Illinois. It is the downtown, which is about an hour away from the Quad City metro area. A downtown that's won a lot of awards for its revitalization and growth, reduced now to a shell. And here's what we know about that. 8 buildings on this stretch of the downtown are affected by the fire. 6 are a total loss. The other 2 have smoke damage. Nobody was hurt, but people do live above these businesses. The fire started around 2:30 in the morning. Immediately, the fire chief knew it could be a bad one and called in mutual aid. They fought the fire for hours using hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. In fact, so much water that it drained the water tower in Prophetstown and also in neighboring Linden. Both towns are under a boil order right now tonight. So they needed so much water that they had to tap in to the Rock River, going several blocks away to go to the Rock and pull out that water from the state park. Now, this shows the crews getting ready at this point on the Rock, extracting the water to haul it all downtown. And firefighters had a lot of help in this effort. A farmer and a local business also pulled up with water tanks. We start our team coverage right now with KWQC's Shireen Mohammed in Prophetstown to find out what's going on right there now. Shireen?
Well, they're starting to take down the buildings. They've already taken down 2, and now they're starting on the 3rd building that they're taking down. People are standing by, shocked and in disbelief at what's going on right now in their own community. Now, some I spoke with say that their hearts go out to the victims, that their lives could have been lost in those buildings, and the Red Cross is currently helping them with food, clothes, and shelter, and they're hoping that they will be helping them in days to come as well. They got the call originally at 4 in the morning, and they've been out on the scene all day providing, again, food and water to the fire crews, but the Red Cross has also been helping those victims as well. They gave them money to buy clothes and a motel for them to take shelter. They say the victims are just in disbelief and at a total loss.
They have to start from square one. They have family, they have neighbors, they have friends, but yeah, they have lost everything. Some of them even lost their cars. They're gone.
Now, some of the volunteers that I spoke with also say that they will be making follow-up calls with those victims to make sure that they are on the path to recovery. Again, they are taking down that 3rd building, as you can see, and they will be taking down the ones that are next to them as well. Reporting live in Prophetstown, Shireen Mohammed, KWQC TV 6 News.
A lot going on there in Prophetstown. Thank you, Shireen. Other communities also came in to the rescue. Crews from a half dozen counties all around the area, Clinton and Iowa, then Carroll, Whiteside, Lee, Henry, and Bureau on the Illinois side, all coming in to fight the fire. 25 crews there all at once. Too many trucks to count. And tonight we can tell you that the block affected housed a salon, the Historic Society, and a pharmacy. Now, at the pharmacy, they say if you're in need of medication, call the Galena office and they will bring it down to Prophetstown for you. The buildings also contained apartments where several people lived on the 2nd floor. We continue now our team coverage with KWQC's Amber O'Brien and a woman who lost everything in the fire.
Fire officials confirm the fire began at Cindy Jean's restaurant. Cindy Jean herself lived on the second floor. She's the one who called 911, but now this is all that's left.
And I smelled smoke and I saw flames. So I grabbed my phone and just ran out the front and called 911. Just been crazy ever since. And I'm very thankful that I'm alive. And I don't really have anything else left. I'm like, wow, I am so glad I woke up. And I really feel it was God that woke me up and got me out. The people, my employees, Dawn is one of my employees, and she takes care of me. If I have a time of need, she's always been there for me. All of my employees, there's been a lot of them down here with me. They've all been good to me throughout the years that I've been here, 5 years. And the town of Prophetstown has been awesome to me. They love me, and they don't want to ever see me leave. And they're just very caring and loving people. I believe in God, and I know God is taking care of me all the time.
More team coverage now with Lenan Nguyen, who's here with more on what we just heard, how the community really came together. Lenan.
Paula, as soon as word spread of this fire, community members and others from even out of town were out in full force to take a look at all that was lost. Some were very emotional as they took pictures, and many were connected in some way to the people who lived and owned businesses in those buildings. Business owners nearby tell us it's very difficult to see their friends and neighbors' livelihood burned to the ground today, but right away, many from the community and beyond jumped into action to help. We spoke to a business owner who owns an air duct repair company in the Kwqc. He tells us he grew up nearby and drove in this morning to see the damage for himself and try to help businesses affected by smoke damage. And a volunteer firefighter this morning helping to battle the flames tells us he owns an excavation company. Right after fighting the fire, he jumped right back on the road to get his equipment and help tear these buildings down.
They're going to heavy equipment to make the building, bring the buildings into a safe status, and that way the town will be able to get past this, the streets will get back open, and they won't get anybody hurt or killed trying to do it some other way.
Just because we know they're going to have smoke damage, we know people's going to have problems with this, and you know, whatever we can do to help out. I mean, if there's something we can help them with, and hopefully give them some discounts and stuff on doing the work and make things better for them, as comfortable as they can to hopefully recover from this.
Community members tell us at least 3 business owners in these buildings lived above their businesses. They've lost both their homes and their livelihood tonight in today's tragic fire, but many say they're still thankful no one was hurt. Paula?
That is true about that, Lenan. Thank you. Now, the fire, we've said, could be seen from miles away. Lots of you sent us pictures of it. This one is from Christopher Williams, which really shows how you can see the flames straight on through the building and how bright the sky got with how it lit up like a furnace. And then a shot from Christopher Williams when the flames were out from the back of the building in the rubble and the smoke as it all crumbles to the ground. We want to thank all of you who fed us tips about this fire. We got phone calls to our newsroom, posts to our Facebook page, and a reminder that whenever you see news happen, you can always go to our Facebook page, email us at news@kwqc.com, or call us 823-KWQC. And for the latest on this fire, we're still working now to get information about the cause, the fate of the businesses, and the latest on the boil order. So keep us up to date on KWQC.com. Let's get a check now of our most reliable forecast on a hot evening. Kevin Phelps.
Yeah, it certainly is, Paula, and right now we're under partly cloudy skies, but we're going to stay high and dry for the remainder of this evening. A few select areas did see a shower or two here this afternoon, but those quickly dissipated. We're still checking in at 88 in the QC, 91 in Muscatine, and 90 in Keokuk. Of course, the heat index is much higher than that. Here's a look at your hour-by-hour forecast on Tuesday. We start off in the lower 70s, and we eventually top out in the lower 90s. Factor in that humidity, should feel closer to 100 tomorrow, and it's going to be warmer on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll break down the rest of the forecast here in a couple minutes.
But his lung injury is not nearly as severe as I expected it to be, and it has not gotten more severe over the last couple of days. It's actually gotten better.
Word tonight from doctors that the 6-year-old boy from Sterling, who was buried for hours under the sand, is improving. On Friday, Nathan Weisner became buried under 11 feet of sand at the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore after a sinkhole opened. Doctors have been working to remove sand from his lungs, but his neurological exams have been remarkably good and seem to show his brain functions are normal. How the dune collapsed is still being investigated. Tonight, we're waiting to see if lawyers for former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich will file an appeal. Today was the deadline to file, but they could ask for extensions. 16 months ago, Blagojevich entered a Colorado prison for corruption. His lawyers may call for the convictions to be tossed out or for his 14-year sentence to be reduced. Trying to keep Illinois colleges afloat. That's what State Comptroller Judy Bart-Topinka discussed at Black Hawk College today. KWQC's Taylor Umlin reports that what she had to say wasn't so easy to hear.
At times, Judy Bart-Topinka was brutally honest.
We expect we'll be right back to around $7.5 billion in unpaid bills by the end of August. Not too far off.
But at the same time, she is sympathetic to nonprofit organizations that are millions of dollars short in the money they are due from Illinois, especially state universities.
These folks have no options. I mean, they really depend upon state funding. And when they don't get it, you're really just cutting our most vulnerable citizens out of the equation and throwing them under the bus.
Today, employees from Black Hawk College gathered to hear what the plan was to get colleges paid, including ones right here in the QCA.
We are going to launch an advisory committee of just non-for-profits so that we can stay attuned to what the problems are, how best we can address them. Do we have to do something legislative? Do we have to do something just from a networking standpoint? Bring people together, solve the problems.
That is something that needs to happen sooner than later, according to college president Thomas Bainham. He says student tuition should only be supporting about a third of the college budget and the state supplying another third. But due to shortcomings, students are currently funding about 49%, and the state only 18%.
But we're broke, okay.
But she adds they are not ready to give up just yet.
We will start solving their problems. We're not going to let this area go to hell in a handbasket.
In Moline, Taylor Umlin, KWQC TV6 News.
Topinka also spoke out against Governor Quinn's withholding money from lawmakers until they solve the pension problem. She says that distrust between the Assembly and the governor's office isn't the best way to get things done. Still ahead for you at 6 tonight, a Quad Cityan visiting the White House today, recognized for his years of service and volunteer work. And smoldering reminders of what once stood in Prophetstown after fire does its damage in the downtown.
And a day filled with upper 80s and lower 90s. We'll tack on a few degrees onto this over the next several days. We'll take a look at your hot 7-day forecast coming up after the break.
You're watching Gary Mativier and Paula Sands. This is KWQC TV6 News at 6. And now, the Quad City's most reliable forecast with meteorologist Kevin Phelps.
It certainly feels like summer across the QCA. We're sitting right now at 88 degrees. Factor in the humidity, feels closer to 95, and Mother Nature not providing too much relief with those winds today, as they've basically been from the east-southeast, anywhere from about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And it looks like we're going to continue to see some very warm temperatures and increasing humidity here over the next several days. Now, a few select areas will get a slight chance for a shower or possibly a thunderstorm to provide us with some relief, but most of us are going to have to wait until this weekend before we see anything in the way of relief from these very warm and humid conditions. And right now we have partly cloudy skies across the QCA. We did have a few showers that tried to develop in Bureau County earlier this afternoon, but those quickly dissipated. We were also watching a few cells starting to go up in Peoria, but again, those quickly dissipated as well, so it looks like we'll stay high and dry here as we head into our evening and overnight hours. 89 right now in Des Moines, 86 for Mason City, and 87 in Springfield, so the entire region still dealing with a very warm evening here, and including us here in the TV6 viewing area. Live Doppler HD showing dry conditions. That's the way we'll stay for the rest of tonight. 90 still in Macomb. We're looking at 91 in Muscatine, 90 in Iowa City, and 86 degrees for Dubuque. You factor in the humidity, feels closer to 96 in Savannah, 97 Kewanee, and 97 for Macomb. I think the warmest heat index that I saw earlier this afternoon was Savannah, where they checked in at 101, and that's just more of what's to come here in the next couple of days. We are seeing those winds turn back to the southeast. Eventually we'll turn all the way to the south overnight. That should keep us mild again, and also going to slowly step up the humidity for tomorrow and again on Wednesday. So here's exact track. We'll call it partly to mostly clear skies as we head into our overnight hours. And then as we head into Tuesday afternoon, another day filled with partly cloudy skies and a very slim chance for a shower. So you should consider yourself lucky if you find yourself in one of those. Of course, a lot of our lawns probably need that, even though we had such a saturated ground here just a few weeks ago. We'll do it all over again as we head into Wednesday, except we'll be another degree warmer. So 71 for our overnight low tonight. Those light south winds keep us warm. 90 tomorrow for Clinton, 88 from Kwqc, and we'll go 88 in Tipton, south of Interstate 80. Widespread mid and lower 90s. 93 for Galesburg and 92 for Kwqc. The Quad Cities Metro will go for a high temperature of 91. Those winds from the south at 5 to 10 continue to transport the increasing humidity levels and hopefully could provide a little bit of relief with a nice breeze, but with those soaring humidity levels, heat index values will be near 100 again on Tuesday afternoon, 92 by Wednesday, and then as we wrap up the work week on Friday, we'll hit a high of 92, but with higher humidity levels, expect those heat indexes to be in the lower 100s, but there's the relief arriving by Saturday and Sunday. A slight chance for a few showers early in the day on Saturday, but by the afternoon, mostly cloudy and a high of only 83.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Now you can help Davenport Police protect and defend with your cell phone. They're launching a new smartphone and iPad app called Do What's Right. The free app is available tonight. You can use it to submit anonymous tips, view crime maps, and find links to city services. The app also has push notifications, so you can find out about street closures and other public safety matters. More than $2 million in funding is going to Metrolink in Rock Island to help update the fleet. The grants are awarded through the Transportation Department and are being set aside for the buses. Congresswoman Sherry Busto says it will help the area meet infrastructure and transportation needs. The money will be used to buy 7 natural gas vehicles to replace diesel buses. A Quad Citian famous for river cleanup is being recognized at the White House. President Obama and former President George H.W. Bush presented the Points of Light Awards. George Bush Sr. started this program when he was president to honor those who serve through volunteerism. A couple from Iowa accepted an award for their nonprofit that delivers meals to kids in 15 counties. Also in attendance today were 24 past Point of Light honorees. Yes, our own Quad Cities Chad Pogracki of Living Lands and Waters. He was recognized by the program in 2011 for the project he started in 1998, cleaning up America's waterways. And next at 6, community devastation after the massive fire in downtown Prophetstown. What's next for some of these historic buildings? Our coverage continues now on that massive fire in Prophetstown, Illinois, the blaze destroying several historic buildings. We have a picture from the Historical Society. This is from about 100 years ago, Washington Street, and yes, that is in the downtown back in the early 1900s. And now we have another picture, roughly the same area from the 1990s. The Historical Society tells us they also had a museum along this block, and now memorabilia and other old items have been lost in the fire. And it was a very, very intense firefight. This is all that's left of one building, just part of a frame standing. Very, very little of it left, just a shell. 6 buildings destroyed, 2 others are damaged. And tonight we know that buildings like this will have to be torn down. Let's get the latest right now. Shireen Mohammed is out there live in Prophetstown for an update. Out there now. Shireen.
Yeah, well, they're now taking down a 4th building. And while they're taking down these buildings, they're finding more and more smoldering hotspots. Now, in order to finish taking down those buildings, they have to extinguish those hotspots before they do anything else, because or else it'll just get worse and another fire will start, especially with that heat and wind. Officials told me that with the combination of the two, it's just causing more and more of a struggle for them to put out those hotspots. Now, they are still currently taking down more and more of those buildings, and investigators also say that it would take days, even weeks, to find the cause of that fire. People are on standby right now, and they're watching in disbelief of how this is happening in their community. They never thought that they would ever see it be this bad. Reporting live in Prophetstown, Shireen Mohammed, Kwqc TV 6 News.
Hey, Shireen, we're also hearing of organizations already putting together fundraisers to restore Prophetstown and help those businesses. You can look for more information on that on our website.
Yeah, it's such a sad sight to see. It's very warm across the QCA tonight. 88 in the QC right now, 90 in Muscatine, and 86 for Dubuque. As we head through the next couple of hours, we will drop back to the middle 70s, but that's all the cooler we're going to get as we head into those overnight hours. We'll start with partly cloudy skies on your Tuesday, and we'll top out at 91.
Still to come in sports, Tom Cornella says the new John Deere Classic champ shows signs of being a pro golf superstar. All next.
You're watching sports with Tom Cornelis.
The John Deere Classic has had 19 first-time winners in its 43-year history, and newly crowned Jordan Spieth could follow the late Payne Stewart into pro golf superstardom. Just 2 weeks shy of his 20th birthday, Jordan Spieth has already made some golf history, becoming the youngest player in 82 years to win a PGA Tour event. Spieth's sensational sandblast birdie on the 72nd hole of regulation put him into a three-way playoff with defending champ Zach Johnson and up-and-coming Canadian David Hearn. Both Johnson and Hearn had great chances to win themselves during the first 4 playoff holes, but Spieth hung tough and survived, finally made the most of his window of opportunity on the 5th sudden death hole, announcing to one and all that Jordan Spieth has arrived.
Yeah, I've never felt like that before. Even being in contention a couple other times, it's not the same as being in a playoff and knowing that this is it. And it's just, yeah, I just had to take deep breaths. I did some breathing stuff, breathing in through the mouth, out through the nose, and trying to just control my heart rate, and it never worked. So I just went with what I had and hung in there, and I caught a break on 18. I caught a really, really nice break there, and Zach didn't, so that was the difference.
And kind of getting your first win here at the tournament that gave you a sponsor's exemption.
Yeah, it's if I didn't play last year, there's no way I'm standing here right now. So to give me an exemption last year and to come up earlier this year and give me a spot, it is, I owe a lot to this tournament, and I look forward to coming back.
Yeah, the leaderboard all week had guys that we kind of helped launch. Zach, Lucas Glover, Morgan Hoffman, Patrick Rogers. Jordan being here last year, doing what he did on the PGA Tour this year was just fantastic. Now to have him be a PGA Tour member with this win and launch him is really exciting for the community and for John Deere and obviously for him.
Jordan Spieth also had the confidence and foresight to bring his passport as he earned the last spot in this week's British Open at Muirfield, Scotland, where he begins play early Thursday morning, paired with American Russell Henley and Irish amateur Matthew Fitzpatrick. Finally, Western Illinois University has a new athletic director. He's Tommy Bell, who's been the AD at IPFW, otherwise known as Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, for the past 6 years. Bell replaces Tim Van Alstyne, who stepped down for personal reasons after 10 years.
And a hot and humid week here across the QCA. We top out at 91 on Tuesday, 92 by Wednesday, increasing the humidity levels each afternoon. So by Friday afternoon, the high temperature of 92, feeling more like the lower 100s.
Thanks, Kevin. Hellos tonight are from the Davenport East All-Star Little Leaguers. Have a great night.
Keep going.
Woo! Hello, Quad Cities. Hello, Quad Cities.
Hello, Quad Cities.
Hello, Quad Cities. Hello, Quad Cities.
Downtown on fire, flames glowing through the night, shooting into the sky in Prophetstown, Illinois. Some can be seen from 10 miles away. Crews work for hours putting water on the flames from the ground and from the air, eventually draining the town's water system.
All I know is I called for more help, more help, more help.
And this is how it looks now, a shell of its former glory. 8 buildings burned, 6 a total loss.
I just ran out the front door, down my front steps.
But everyone is okay, left now to pick up the pieces of businesses lost, jobs lost, and a town center lost in Prophetstown.
It hurts all the people involved, the community, but we'll pull through. Somehow we'll pull through.
We have team coverage tonight of this devastating fire. It is the word we've been hearing all day concerning this ordeal. Devastating. And that's why we are dedicating resources to this story tonight. It's tough to see, tough to deal with, and our crews are hoping to provide some answers for you tonight. KWQC's Lynn Enwin will be asking those questions in Prophetstown. Shireen Mohammed will talk about the Red Cross angle. And Amber O'Brien, who was first on the scene this morning, will show us how the community is already helping right now some of the business owners. Now, this is the area we're talking about in Prophetstown, Illinois. It is the downtown, which is about an hour away from the Quad City metro area. A downtown that's won a lot of awards for its revitalization and growth, reduced now to a shell. And here's what we know about that. 8 buildings on the stretch of the downtown are affected by the fire. 6 are a total loss. The other 2 have smoke damage. Nobody was hurt, but people do live above these businesses. The fire started around 2:30 in the morning. Immediately, the fire chief knew it could be a bad one and called in mutual aid. They fought the fire for hours using hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. In fact, so much water that it drained the water tower in Prophetstown and also in neighboring Linden. Both towns are under a boil order right now tonight. So they needed so much water that they had to tap into the Rock River, going several blocks away to go to the Rock and pull out that water from the state park. Now, this shows the crews getting ready at this point on the Rock, extracting the water to haul it all downtown. And firefighters had a lot of help in this effort. A farmer and a local business also pulled up with water tanks. We start our team coverage right now with KWQC's Shireen Mohammed in Prophetstown to find out what's going on right there now. Shireen?
Well, they're starting to take down the buildings. They've already taken down 2, and now they're starting on the 3rd building that they're taking down. People are standing by, shocked and in disbelief at what's going on right now in their own community. Now, some I spoke with say that their hearts go out to the victims, that their lives could have been lost in those buildings, and the Red Cross is currently helping them with food, clothes, and shelter, and they're hoping that they will be helping them in days to come as well. They got the call originally at 4 in the morning, and they've been out on the scene all day providing, again, food and water to the fire crews, but the Red Cross has also been helping those victims as well. They gave them money to buy clothes and a motel for them to take shelter. They say the victims are just in disbelief and at a total loss.
They have to start from square one. They have family, they have neighbors, they have friends, but yeah, they have lost everything. Some of them even lost their cars. They're gone.
Now, some of the volunteers that I spoke with also say that they will be making follow-up calls with those victims to make sure that they are on the path to recovery. Again, they are taking down that 3rd building, as you can see, and they will be taking down the ones that are next to them as well. Reporting live in Prophetstown, Shireen Mohammed, KWQC TV6 News.
A lot going on there in Prophetstown. Thank you, Shireen. Other communities also came in to the rescue. Crews from a half dozen counties all around the area, Clinton and Iowa, then Carroll, Whiteside, Lee, Henry, and Bureau on the Illinois side, all coming in to fight the fire. 25 crews there all at once. Too many trucks to count. And tonight we can tell you that the block affected housed a salon, the Historic Society, and a pharmacy. Now, at the pharmacy, they say if you're in need of medication, call the Galena office and they will bring it down to Prophetstown for you. The buildings also contained apartments where several people lived on the 2nd floor. We continue now our team coverage with KWQC's Amber O'Brien and a woman who lost everything in the fire.
Fire officials confirm the fire began at Cindy Jean's restaurant. Cindy Jean herself lived on the second floor. She's the one who called 911, but now this is all that's left.
And I smelled smoke and I saw flames. So I grabbed my phone and just ran out the front and called 911. Just been crazy ever since. And I'm very thankful that I'm alive. And I don't really have anything else left. I'm like, wow, I am so glad I woke up. And I really feel it was God that woke me up and got me out. The people, my employees, Dawn is one of my employees, and she takes care of me. If I have a time of need, she's always been there for me. All of my employees, there's been a lot of them down here with me. They've all been good to me throughout the years that I've been here, 5 years. And the town of Prophetstown has been awesome to me. They love me, and they don't want to ever see me leave. And they're just very caring and loving people. I believe in God, and I know God is taking care of me all the time.
More team coverage now with Lenan Nguyen, who's here with more on what we just heard, how the community really came together, Lenan.
Paula, as soon as word spread of this fire, community members and others from even out of town were out in full force to take a look at all that was lost. Some were very emotional as they took pictures, and many were connected in some way to the people who lived and owned businesses in those buildings. Business owners nearby tell us it's very difficult to see their friends and neighbors' livelihood burned to the ground today, but right away, many from the community and beyond jumped into action to help. We spoke to a business owner who owns an air duct repair company in the Kwqc. He tells us he grew up nearby and drove in this morning to see the damage for himself and try to help businesses affected by smoke damage. And a volunteer firefighter this morning helping to battle the flames tells us he owns an excavation company. Right after fighting the fire, he jumped right back on the road to get his equipment and help tear these buildings down.
They're running the heavy equipment to make the building, bring the buildings into a safe status, and that way the town will be able to get past this, the streets will get back open, and they won't get anybody hurt or killed trying to do it some other way.
Just because we know they're going to have smoke damage, we know people's going to have problems with this, and you know, whatever we can do to help out. I mean, if there's something we can help them with, and hopefully give them some discounts and stuff on doing the work and make things better for them, as comfortable as they can to hopefully recover from this.
Community members tell us at least 3 business owners in these buildings lived above their businesses. They've lost both their homes and their livelihood tonight in today's tragic fire, but many say they're still thankful no one was hurt. Paula?
That is true about that, Lenan. Thank you. Now, the fire, we've said, could be seen from miles away. Lots of you sent us pictures of it. This one is from Christopher Williams, which really shows how you can see the flames straight on through the building and how bright the sky got with how it lit up like a furnace. And then a shot from Christopher Williams when the flames were out from the back of the building in the rubble and the smoke as it all crumbles to the ground. We want to thank all of you who fed us tips about this fire. We got phone calls to our newsroom, posts to our Facebook page, and a reminder that whenever you see news happen, you can always go to our Facebook page, email us at news@kwqc.com, or call us 823-KWQC. And for the latest on this fire, we're still working now to get information about the cause, the fate of the businesses, and the latest on the boil order. So keep us up to date on KWQC.com.